Welcome to the Educating Kids and Connecting Families podcast. I'm your host, Christine Furman, a homeschool mom, entrepreneur, and educator with over 20 years of experience in the areas of elementary and special education. It's my mission to provide your family with encouragement, inspiration, and connection. I'll equip you with resources and expert advice to help you effectively educate your kids in a fun and meaningful way. If you value education, quality family moments, and community, you're in the right spot. We'll discuss all things parenthood, education, homeschool, ways to balance it all, and so much more. Join us each week as we empower you to raise kind, confident, and independent kids while building community and connection. Welcome, everyone, to episode 53 of Educating Kids and Connecting Families. I am your host, Christine Furman, and I'm always so happy that you're joining us each week. So thank you so much for being here. Well, I hope you guys all had a wonderful Christmas spending with friends and family, lots of time together. And I hope you're getting ready to ring in the new year. I know for me, I am excited about the new year. I'm excited to set new goals. I'm excited for that fresh start and just having kind of like a clean slate of like, okay, here is this new year and what goals can I set this year, right? Now, maybe, we have some goals that we didn't really quite hit over 2024, and that's okay. Sometimes we set a goal, we set an intention, and we may not be able to hit it. So are we going to roll that goal over into 2025, or are we going to change it up and maybe it's a different goal this year? But whatever it is, I would love to know, what are some of the goals that you would like to accomplish in 2025? Be sure to join and let us know in that Facebook group, Educating Kids, Connecting Families, so then that way we can cheer you on as you embark on these new goals. So for me, it's definitely an exciting time to set some new intentions and just kind of look at this year and say, okay, what do I want to accomplish this year? Well, maybe you have personal goals, maybe even business goals like myself, but what about some family goals? Have you ever had a family goal? Do you talk to your kids about your goals, maybe your goals or what goals that they want to have for this year? So today, what we're going to do is we're going to talk about this. We're going to talk about a goal versus a resolution and why and how can we create goals that we are going to attain, right, during this year and those action steps that we need to take versus a resolution. The other thing we're going to talk about is we're going to talk about how do we include our kids in the goal setting and, just really allow them to set their goals and intentions for the year just as well as ours. And also, I'm going to share with you a little bit about vision boarding. So I would love to know, have you ever made a vision board? I know for me, one of my mentors years ago introduced me to vision boards, and I still love making them today and even make them with my husband and my kids. The end of the year, we set up all of our stuff, magazines, poster boards, and we have a little vision board party. And we set up our intentions and our goals for the upcoming year. So I'm going to share all of this with you. And I'm even going to share with you the new vision that is coming for this podcast. So just stay tuned. There's so much in this episode, and I'm so excited to share it with you right now. Well, every year in business, things get a little more and more clear. Right? I don't know if I have some business mamas out there. Every situation that we are in and experience, it could change our perception of things, right? Definitely as a creative, I'm an undiagnosed ADHD brain, but I definitely believe that is kind of my mind is like, oh, there's an idea over here and I want to accomplish this and I want to do this, right? So it's often for me, I see a new program or a new idea, and maybe I didn't quite finish this program over here, but I'm already on to the next thing. Have you guys ever been there? It could be with anything, right? It doesn't even have to be a business idea. It could be things around the house, right? We are already working on the next project before the other project's finished. So hopefully not, but I know I'm totally guilty of that. So this year, with some supplements, I have really started just honing in on that clarity and really gotten clear on my why kind of going back to the basics, right? Of like, why did I start a business? Why did I start a podcast? What is the purpose? What is the vision? What is the mission, right? And just honing it in, becoming crystal clear and focusing on that one key thing. And I know there are so many experts out there that say that focus on one thing, get so niche down. But guys, it is so important because when we have so many ideas and we can serve all the people, it's hard to talk to the one person. So that is something that I've been realizing this year that it's like, oh my goodness, I am not the same person I was when I started this business. I have a vision, I have a plan, and just really becoming clear about it. And what does that look like for this year? What does that look like for 2025? What does that look like for years beyond? Right. So each year, I know myself personally, I grow and I learn and I pivot as I need to best fit the needs of my family, of my business, of even myself. So when I started the business in 2017, I was just kind of dabbling. It was the end of 2017, November. We had our first event. I had maybe another event at Christmas time, but I was just kind of like dabbling in what does this new idea look like, right? I had young kids, a 3 and 5 year old, maybe even younger than that at the time. And it was just like, what does this look like? You know? And I never expected the twists and turns that my business and my life would take since I started this. And 2020, I mean, none of us really knew what was coming up with that, right? We didn't know what to expect. And that really shifted my business in a way that honestly, I had the mission and I had the vision for the way that my business shifted in 2020. But before 2020 happened, I didn't know how I was going to do it. So then with that shift of things in 2020, it made it so much clearer. And then we even moved. We had a huge move also during that time. So originally we were building and we were growing and had a community and a business in Pittsburgh. And I mean, I was so excited. It was growing so fast. It was expanding. It was amazing. I was constantly having events, being recognized. It was really a wonderful, wonderful opportunity. And then 2020 happens and things change. The business changes, the business plan changes, and my family moves. So now here we are, we're shifting lots of things. The business is shifting, my family is shifting. We start really leaning into homeschooling at that time because now my kids were becoming of homeschooling age. We already had been doing a lot of educational activities with them prior to, but now it was getting a little bit more in depth, right? So I started to have to shift my focus and say, okay, well, my kids need a little bit more of my attention in a different way. Before they needed my attention because they were toddlers. Now I needed to be present and educate them, with the knowledge that I have as a teacher, a special ed and an elementary teacher, right? So I felt a lot of changes happening and lots of pivots were made. And I just share a lot of this because I continue to feel the Lord move me and shape me and my business into what He's called me to do. And a lot of times, if we get distracted by those shiny object syndromes, it's easy to derail from what the mission was, from what the vision was, maybe from what even we were called to do. Because it's like, oh my gosh, that's a great idea over there. And it is. They're all great ideas, but write them down because what we need to do is we need to focus on that one main idea. And then all of these other ideas, they'll start filtering in and they'll start coming in. So I share all of this with you because I had a huge epiphany happen just 2 weeks ago. And I had already been talking with my podcast coach about shifts for the podcast. And I said, I want to kind of hone it in a little bit more. I feel, yes, we homeschool, but home education is more of what's on my heart, right? That sits with me a little bit better, where I educate at home. We educate throughout the day. Learning happens all the time. And how do I make this shift? How do I just become a little bit more clear, a little bit more focused? So I was at an event, and before the event, even, we had come up with the term and the name for the podcast and kind of what the new direction that we were going. So, this podcast, same host, I'll still be here with you every week, tuning in and sharing with you so much wonderful, valuable information and resources as parents, as homeschool families, as families in general. So, still, same me, right? Same host, lots of great new content, but a bigger, stronger vision. And I'm going to share that with you now. So, we already had this name kind of picked out. I'm going to share that with you in a minute. But I was at an event and my husband was there, my kids were there, and it was freezing. It was actually really cold for Georgia, right? It was December and we were having a breakfast meet and greet with Santa, and I had a table out there with my little reindeer crafts that we made, and I was freezing. And I was like, wait a second, this is December. In Pittsburgh, we don't have outside events, but here we were having an outside event, just trying to stay in the sun. And I'm looking at my big poster. We rebranded last year, Educating Kids, Connecting Families, because it was, yes, I educate kids through EduPlay Learning. I connect families through Momspiration. But what is the point? What is the top tier of all of that? Where does it all come from? And it hit me so clear. It's EduPlay Learning. EduPlay Learning is the heartbeat of it all, right? That is so near and dear. Education, just so near and dear to my heart. And being able to walk alongside families on their educational journey, whatever that may be. So then as I'm looking at my banner, I'm thinking about my conversations with my coach, and it hit me. And here is the name for 2025 podcasts. And it is going to be called Home Education with Ease. What are we doing? We're creating lifelong learners. So it took so many conversations, so many situations for all of this to come together. And I had to just keep putting one foot in front of the other. I had to set goals, I had to set intentions, and I had to just keep moving forward. Because if I would have stayed stuck, I may not have gotten to this point. I may not have met the people that I've met. So to me, it's so very important, the conversations that we have with people. Share, talk about what's on your heart, because often we need other people's perspective to see something, because sometimes we're just too close to it. And I know that's happened for me many, many times. I have so many ideas and I have to talk it out, because sometimes, and guys, here it is, EduPlay Learning has been the heartbeat of my business for years, and I kept searching for something different. And it's like there was nothing different. It was already there. It was already established. Why did I keep searching? So just keep that in mind, the conversations that you have, the people that you meet, because you never know what conversation or who you'll meet that's going to help you make your next big move, right? It could be personally, it could be financially, it could be business wise or education wise for you, your kids, it could be work wise, right? Not burning any bridges, but almost like keeping those bridges, keeping those doors open and saying, I'm open to receive whatever is for me. And in my case, faith-based mom here, whatever the Lord has for me, I'm open to receive what you have for me, Lord. And that is a huge, huge little prayer that you can say, here I am, I'm ready. So we really have done a lot in the last 4 years. I've definitely leaned into my family a lot more. Now that we're in 2 different states, we do travel often. So I have to lean in and, prepare for that traveling on both ends, preparing to travel and then recovering from the travel, and then anything that happens during the travel, right? And then also homeschooling, educating my kids at home, and just knowing that it has to be more intentional. The time has to be intentional. So these are some things that we've definitely leaned into over the past 4 years. So I don't feel that there's been any wasted time. I feel like it's just continued to improve, right? I just feel like I've continued to niche down, right? You hear this all the time with business owners, niching down and figuring out that one thing. So I'm excited to really formally announce this to you guys. When I started thinking about this term, home education, right? I started thinking about the word homeschool. Yeah, I'm a homeschool mom, and I say that. But for me to say that my business was for homeschool families, it didn't sit right with me. And why was that? Because I believe in my heart that school is all around us, right? And I believe that there's a misconception sometimes around homeschool. It can have a bad stigma, right? And with the term homeschool, I often see families trying to replicate that school day, right? School at home, when really that's not what it's about. You know, learning only happens from 8 to 3. Socialization only happens at school. Our kids have to sit down and they have to do a lot of workbooks or activity sheets or worksheets or whatever, lectures, right? That's how our kids learn. That's the misconception that that's not the only way that our kids can learn, that we have to follow a school schedule, that we have days off and summers off, right? But what if this isn't what homeschool is all about? And that's truly what I believe. I believe that homeschool is so much more than that. I believe that it truly, truly is home education, where we are educating our kids from the day that they are born. They are learning every single minute from us. Why are we waiting until they're 5 years old to go into public school or even, daycare or preschool when we can be teaching them and educating them from the moment that they're born? Obviously, that first year of infancy, they're really just eating and sleeping, right? But still, that connection with you, those snuggles, what we're doing, how we're talking to them, how we're interacting with them. I know by 6 months old, Ella was already able to hear the song, I'm Happy and You Know It, and clap on cue. And I remember being a special education teacher and that being said to me, listen, some of these children, they may not be able to verbally interact with you, verbally respond back to you, but they're still listening. Their ears still work and they're still absorbing everything that is around them. So keeping that in mind that yes, education really does happen from the moment that they're born, that socialization happens everywhere with everyone we interact with throughout the day. It doesn't just happen at school, because that's always someone's first response. Well, how do your kids socialize? How do you socialize? We go to the store, we go to the park, we talk to people throughout the entire day. I talk with my child, I socialize with them. They go to activities, they socialize with teachers. So the misconception that they only can do that at school is wild to me because a lot of times in school, they're socializing a very, very limited amount of time because they have to be quiet to listen to what's being taught to them. That is probably a whole nother topic. How about leaning into the way that our child learns best, right? Leaning into a variety of ways that makes the most sense for your child and your family. This is what home education is all about. You want to educate your child at home so then that way you can lean in to their strengths and really support their challenges and their struggles and what works best for your family. Maybe you are a working mom. How are you going to make that schedule work? You can do it because we can teach our kids at any point throughout the day. It doesn't have to be 8 to 3. It could be 3 to 6, whatever works best for your family. And then taking that school schedule, kind of throwing it out the window. And I'll be honest with you guys, this definitely held me down for maybe the first year or so. We live in a neighborhood and the kids in the neighborhood, they go to public school. So we would play into that schedule of, okay, well, the kids are in school, so we need to do our schoolwork. But what if that doesn't work for our schedule? And it doesn't. My kids have activities during the day. I work during the day. So I can teach them after school hours. I can teach them on the weekends. I can teach them on days off that the school would have because that's what works best for our schedule, my own personal family, and really leaning into our own schedule. So I've already shared with you the big business pivot for 2025, but I'm going to share it again because I was so excited. I couldn't wait to not share with you the first time. But Educating Kids and Connecting Families podcast will be home education with ease in 2025. So we'll be sharing ways to create lifelong learners, how to embrace learning all around us, how to meet the needs of your family and each learner in your family, and so much more. And if you have more topics that you're like, man, I really want to know more about this, be sure to DM me on social media. You can find me anywhere, all the platforms, all those links are in the show notes below, and say, hey, I really would love for you to talk about this. Or, hey, I have a great idea or a guest that would be perfect. So please feel free to reach out and let me know. But I am just so excited for this pivot because it feels different. Okay. So I've done my business for a lot of years with my kids. Obviously, my kids are now getting older. I have more time where I can work uninterrupted, right? Which that's a huge thing in itself. And that can definitely be a whole podcast episode of moms in business working with toddlers. I mean, that's a real thing and it's hard. And how can we navigate that season? And now I'm in a different season and it just feels like a sense of peace. And leaning into this new pivot is like, yes, this is where you're supposed to be. This is that feeling of like you're in the right spots and you're doing what I called you to do. Like that is how I feel. And now it's just giving me that opportunity to really lean in to all the other aspects of being a mom in business, a wife, a friend, a daughter, all the things. Because we do have a lot of things on our plate for sure. So leaning into all of that and just being able to really lean into that calling. So I'm so excited for this and I'm so excited to share all of this with you as we embark in this new journey in 2025. So again, same host. I'm going to be with you every week. And I'll be having more guests as well that are going to really feed into our topics. We've had some wonderful guests and wonderful topics in 2024. So I really do believe educating kids and connecting families set the foundation of all of this because they really were topics that were near and dear to my heart as a mom, as a business owner, as a homeschool mom, as, a mom that really leans into holistic health. So definitely the first year of this podcast really did set the framework of where this all goes. But now it's like one step further. It's like the next layer on the cake, just getting better and better each time. So excited to share this with you. And this is going to meet you wherever you're at, wherever you are on your education journey, okay, with your children. Maybe you do homeschool. Maybe you are a stay-at-home mom. Maybe you're a working mom or a business owner, right? Really, the whole point of home education with ease is really just kind of taking that philosophy of saying education is all around us and really knowing that we can educate our kids throughout the entire day. It doesn't have to be specific times. Now, trust me, we do have a set schedule at some points of the day, right? Because there are times when I do want to work with them one-to-one, but knowing that they're still learning throughout the day all the time. So really just kind of turning education on its head and just that learning happens throughout the day. So just want to know that you are in the right place wherever you are, because my goal from years ago for my kids, I wanted to give them the best possible education. So if your priority is your child's education and you want to set them up for a lifetime of success, then you are definitely in the right place. So continue to stay tuned. Be sure to tune in each week. And I also have a little freebie for you. So I also want to invite you to grab the Home Education with Ease freebie. And it's full of resources, full of ways to get connected with different resources that I have available. And also, how do you get started in the homeschool journey, right? There's also a video for that. So that link will be in the show notes below, but also any other additional resources, you should probably be able to find them within my YouTube channel, my Instagram, my Facebook group. I have the exclusive Facebook group that is going to change also to Home Education with Ease, but that shift is going to be simple. That link will still be here in the show notes. So you'll have all of these links, all of these resources at your fingertips and ways to get connected. So now that I've shared my big vision and my goals for 2025, I want to help set you and your family up for success in the new year as well. So let's talk about what is the difference between goal setting and a resolution. Okay. So a resolution is that blanket statement that we're going to make a change, right? I want to lose so much weight this year. I want to make this amount of money. I want to travel more, right? Just a very blanket statement. And a lot of times that's why it's easy to just kind of derail, right? I'm going to lose so much weight this year. Well, what's the goal? What's the plan? So we're going to talk about what are the steps that we need to take to get there. All right. With a goal, you're setting an intention. And I talked with one of my coaches, Kristen Chadwick, which, by the way, if you are thinking of starting a podcast or have a podcast and really want to up its game, let me connect you with Kristen because she is absolutely the best. I love working with her and her team. They really are the ones that help me bring the show to you each week, which makes it so seamless and easy. And she has tremendously helped me on my podcast journey from day one. So highly recommend if you are starting a podcast or want to tweak your own podcast that you've already started, reach out and I'll get you connected with Kristen. But just last week, we were talking about SMART goals. And a SMART goal is a goal that is specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and timely. So that is a SMART goal. Okay. And we were talking about this last week, and it's definitely something that I remember from my days in the classroom, right? I had to write goals and objectives for every lesson that I did. And sometimes, you forget about those things that you did because I haven't done them in so many years. And sometimes you need an outside perspective or just a little reminder to say, hey, don't forget to set up these SMART goals. And I was like, oh, yeah, that's right. These are really going to help me in 2025. So that SMART goal, instead of that blanket statement of saying, I want to make so much money in 2025, we're going to break it down. We're going to say, I want to make this amount of money by this date by doing what, right? It's how often, what are you going to do? And it's progress that you can actually see. So is it realistic too? That's the other thing. So it's progress, it's the time, it's measurable, it's achievable, but is it realistic? And can it be done in a timely way? Okay. Because I know for me, I've set goals that were definitely not realistic, right? But now it's time to focus on these goals that is it realistic to accomplish this goal in this amount of time? And for me, it would be something like I need to sell this many activity kits, or I need to have this many families enrolled in my academy. So, whatever it may be, because for you, it could be a work related goal, right? It could be a personal goal. So, maybe a SMART goal for yourself could be as simple as I want to be more active, right? Well, what does that mean? Well, is it realistic for you to go for a 30-minute walk 5 times a week? If not, then we need to tweak that. If your husband travels, if you have a newborn baby, if it's cold outside and you're like, I don't want to get up in the morning, right? So tweak it and make it something that is realistic and achievable for yourself. So maybe it is starting off slow. I know that I can go for a walk 3 times a day for 15 minutes in the afternoon. because it's a little bit warmer. I know that my husband's going to be home, or I know the kids are going to be okay, or they're taking a nap, or whatever the situation may be. And I can set that up for 3 days a week. Sure, that's more achievable and realistic for my circumstance, right? So think about that when you are setting these goals. What is something that is achievable? What is something that's realistic for you to do? And someone else just mentioned this to me, the owner of Soul Planner. If you do need a planner, be sure to reach out because I am getting my planner soon and I probably will have her on the show at some point. She's a homeschool mom too, but she has created an amazing planner. And we did a whole goal setting class and it was so wonderful. But what she talked about is if someone else were to look at your goals, can they see if you have achieved it? Can they see the progress? And it was like, oh, that's so good. Instead of saying, like for me, my first one was like, I need to record videos. Well, how many videos? What kind of videos? Being so specific for these goals and focusing on that goal specifically. So I just love it. I love setting goals and I love now just that opportunity to be so much more specific and just have that clarity of like, I know that I can achieve this goal. And I also want to just encourage you and just share with you, just give yourself grace though, too. Slow and steady. And remember, in this community here, you're most likely a mom. So you most likely have a ton of things on your plate, and every circumstance is different. Just like how I walk through the educational journey with my families, every situation that I have is a unique situation. And I approach those situations uniquely, knowing that not any two families are exactly the same. And the same thing goes here with our goals, giving ourselves grace because what if you do have a newborn baby at home? You setting a workout goal postpartum, probably not a good idea, right? Yes, of course, we want to get active, but also we need to give ourselves grace because we have a newborn, right? And if we don't hit that 3 day a week goal, it's okay, right? We have a goal, we have a plan, we're striving for something, but also giving ourselves grace and saying, you know what? Sometimes things are going to come up. Sometimes it's just not going to be a good time or a good season, but then realigning with those goals and jumping back at it. So keep that in mind where, yes, sometimes we're going to get derailed, but keep your eyes on your goal or tweak your goal. If you realize, like, you know what, that goal is not serving me anymore, maybe it's time to tweak it. So, there are some tips and tricks on setting goals. I hope those were helpful. And I'm going to share just one more thing here about vision boarding. And like I said, I would love to know if you have ever made a vision board before. It's really fun. I really enjoy it. And we call it our vision board party. Maybe you've heard people in your area or circle have vision board parties. And it could be with anyone. It could be like for us, it's my immediate family, me, my kids, and my husband. We sit around the Christmas tree. We play some relaxing music. We grab out magazines, posters. You know, the kids love the Amazon magazines or any of those Christmas magazines that they got with all the toys in them. But also, they get other magazines as well, and stickers, markers, scissors, glue, whatever it may be. And we just sit around and we just have a good time discussing what it is that we want to do this year. But this could be with your friends, it could be with business owners. I know I have a friend, a couple of them actually, and they do vision board parties and we all get together and, you know, all walks of life. You know, you could be a business owner or you could not be, you know, and it doesn't matter where you're at in your journey. It's really setting that intention of what do you want this year? What do you want more of? And maybe it's something as simple as I want more time together as a family. I want to go on more hikes. I want to be out in nature more. I want to travel. So I know for me personally, when I first did my big family vision board, I put family on it. I put things like health on it, happiness, good marriage, right? These are the things that I want. And I want to keep putting this positivity out there in our environment. I want my kids to see that. I want them to know that we're always striving for the best of the best, right? I want to be happy. I want to be healthy. I want to have a good marriage. I want our family to be a close knit, tight family. What is it that you want the most? I want to travel, taking my kids and showing them the world. I want to get out there in nature. I want to connect with other moms. Maybe it's where do you want to go or what are some things that you want to do? I know one year Ella put on there, like, I think she may have put skiing or something. Like, hey, I want to go do this. Great. Put it on there. We'll see if we can get it done this year. We still haven't gone skiing yet, but maybe it'll happen soon. But, surfing, going to the beach, going to the mountains, going to see, the one thing I'm thinking of right now is like the cherry blossoms in DC. I want to take my kids there for a field trip because not only can we experience the cherry blossoms, but also all the museums, all the history, right? And allowing them to experience learning as we live our life. So again, it all just kind of comes together and you can even put those learning goals on there. What is it that you want to do as a family? Do you want to go on these field trips? Do you want to join a co-op or start a co-op or meet with a certain group of moms? Maybe you are just really honing down on what it is and who it is that you want to connect with. And you're ready to find that specific group of moms. Write it down. Find it, and it doesn't even have to be a picture. It could be words. It could be, little signs or post-it notes. It could be anything. I know one year I did that. I just made a post-it note poster board and it just had all of these things that I wanted to accomplish. And there was just post-it notes, no pictures. You can print pictures from the computer. You can print pictures from your phone. Maybe you went somewhere and you took a picture of your vision board house, right? Your dream house. And I took a picture of it, or your dream pool, or whatever that may be. Add those things to the vision board too. Maybe for our kids, it's a specific toy. Maybe they wanted this big ticket item toy that maybe they didn't get for Christmas. Let them put it down on there. Maybe it's a game or again, something that they want to do. For us, as adults, maybe it's business related. Maybe it's not. I made my first vision board and I made it like different sections. So I had like a family section, a kids section, like homeschool. I had an academy section. I still have this vision board actually. My section with like my girlfriends and like, let's go on a trip together and, different things that we as adults may want, a new pool, a new car, a trip, right? So again, just imagine, just kind of have fun with it. Anything, the sky's the limit here because just put it on there. And what you're doing is, you're bringing that positivity into your life and, setting these goals and allowing these things to kind of come into your life, whatever that may be. And it's also like, what is it that you and your family desire? Is it happiness? Is it to laugh more? Is it less stress? Is it health related, right? Maybe you are encountering health issues and how can we support better health, right? And what does that look like? Maybe you put some apples and some vegetables on there. Maybe we want to incorporate more fruits and vegetables into our diet. Anything that you want. And it's a reminder of what you are working towards. So I encourage you, if you do make a vision board, hang this up. Hang it up somewhere where you see it often and think about these things. Why did I set these goals? What do I want to achieve? And then how am I going to achieve them? So having this vision board and then maybe setting your goals of like, okay, these are my goals for 2025. I do want to take a girls trip. What does that mean? Does that mean that I have to save so much money per month for that girls trip? Well, how am I going to save that money? Where does that money come from? Right? Do you see how we're kind of working backwards here? What's the big goal? And then let's take those little action steps and actually be able to achieve that big goal. And also just having these conversations with our kids allows them to see that these things don't happen overnight, that we work hard for everything that we have. Our kids, they're pretty fortunate right now. I know mine personally are very fortunate. We have a lot of things that I didn't have as a kid. And I'm sure that goes for a lot of different situations, right? I'm sure my parents had a lot of things that they didn't have as kids. And we're getting to this point now where my kids have their own room, they have their own bathrooms. We have a nice big car. They have lots of space in the car, right? As a kid, I shared a room with my sister. We had a Oldsmobile or a Buick, and we were tight crammed in the back seat, 3 kids. He's touching me. She's touching me. Don't look at me, right? These kind of things are happening. But allowing our kids to say, we worked hard to get where we're at. We set goals and we achieve them. So we have these things now. And on making sure that our kids see that this stuff didn't just appear for them. And that, I believe, is so important because it does take hard work. It takes staying committed to our goals and instilling in our kids a good work ethic. That if they want something, that they're going to have to do something to earn it. So if they do put something on that vision board, talking about it, maybe they need to sell things. If they want that specific toy, how are you going to achieve that goal? Well, I probably need to get some money. Well, how are you as a child going to get money? Well, I can sell something. I can start a business, where Ella has made dog treats and Alex has sold lemonade and snacks. They do things because they know that value of like, if I want something, I have to earn the money so I can pay for it. So I think that also is very, very important for them to see and instilling those values. Well, here are our takeaways from this episode. One, I just want to say new name for 2025 that I'm so excited for. The new podcast name, stay tuned. Next week, it'll be Home Education with Ease. And we're really going to be focusing on that learning all around us. We're going to be focusing on creating lifelong learners and setting our kids up for a lifetime of success. Some other things we talked about today, we talked about those SMART goals for 2025 versus a resolution. So instead of setting a resolution, start thinking, what is my SMART goal? What is something that's specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and timely? And how can I achieve those goals? And then just have fun and have a vision board party. Maybe you start with a vision board party and say, I want these things for 2025, or I desire these things. And then what are the goals that we need to set to achieve these things? So I just want to thank you guys so much for listening. And if you enjoyed today's episode, which I hope that you did, please be sure to subscribe so then that way you are notified every time a new episode comes out. Leave a review. I love to listen and read what you guys have to say about the episodes and what are your biggest takeaways. So please feel free to leave a review. Let me know that. Follow on social media, all the platforms, all of those links are in the show notes below. And then join us in that Facebook group. So it is currently Educating Kids and Connecting Families, but it is quickly turning to the new group, Home Education with Ease. So it'll be the same spot, but new group, new focus, and just, alignment with the new podcast. So I just want to know, what are your goals for 2025? So let us know in that Facebook group, and let's keep this conversation going and continuing to connect with families around the world. So I'm so excited to be here with you. Thank you guys so much. And remember, this is the last episode of 2024. Tune in next week for the new episode of 2025. And remember, same host, it'll be me, new look, new vision, new name, Home Education with Ease. I'll see you next week, guys. Thank you for listening to the Educating Kids and Connecting Families podcast. I appreciate your support and cherish each and every listener. If you found value in this episode, download it, share with a friend, or leave a review. If you're interested in even more resources for you, activities for your kids, and connection, I encourage you to join our exclusive community, Educating Kids and Connecting Families with Christine Furman on Facebook. You can find the link and any other links mentioned in this episode in the show notes below. I'm looking forward to connecting with you and supporting your family.